Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight, we have the legend that is Les Paul, and we're going to be looking at his playing in isolation, but also at one of his inventions, which was effectively a really early looper pedal. But the first thing to note really about this video is the fact that it is actually running fast. So if you've got your guitar at home and you hit your low E string, you'll find that Les's tuning, even though he was in standard tuning at the time of the recording, when it's played back, it's almost a semitone higher, and that's why sometimes when you watch the video his mannerisms look a little bit funny, and the fact that his voice is a lot higher pitched than it normally is. It's just the fact that it must have been running fast when it was converted into digital. So that's the reason for some of the funny mannerisms. They look a little bit fast, and also the playing is really fast as well, but Les was a really fast player anyway. But let's get Les up on screen and see how he gets on.
It's an invention of mine.
So I'm just going to stop it there to talk through that very first section. He was more than competent. He was absolutely amazing. So far ahead of the game technique-wise with that alternate picking, and so fast across the fretboard, but keeping it so accurate as well. Again, one of those absolute pioneers of technical playing and making it look so easy, just lulling people into a false sense of security that when they pick up a guitar you can sound like Les Paul, whereas you then realise, hang on, he's smiling at the crowd, but some of the stuff that he's actually achieving on that fretboard is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, there's a reason that the Gibson Les Paul is as popular as it is, and a lot of kids might not even know that Les Paul was an actual real-life person. They just maybe know the guitar. But Les was so far ahead of the game, technique-wise and ability-wise, and really pushing the boundaries, not just of playing, but of inventing. He just came up with ideas, came up with new ideas and different effects. And we'll see in this video a little bit later on, he's just about to describe his effectively a looper pedal that he's got going on. So he was just full of ideas. But the interesting thing on this is because he's showing this new invention off in front of a crowd, the previous loops he's recorded are actually pre-recorded, because he plays the lines live and then the loop you hear is actually a different version of the line. You'll hear that the first loop that he plays it straight. He does a little riff where there's just straight lines, and he does a little skip at the end, whereas when he plays the loop back, there's a skip in the whole part of the loop, so it was obviously played at a different time. That's totally understandable, making sure that if you are playing in front of a crowd, of course the last thing you want is for your loop to be slightly off, so Les has made sure that that is all set up and ready to go. We all know that if you have played with a looper pedal, how small increments are just exaggerated. Even if we're off by just a tiny amount on the beat, that loop is going to be ever so slightly out and not really flow.
Okay, now here we go. Now that's one guitar, regular, simple.
So I'm just going to interrupt there because, as you can see, he played that straight. But this is where we now hear the loop that has actually been pre-set up just to make sure that it all goes to plan.
Dumb little riff was one guitar. I'll play that back for you. That's pretty fast, isn't it? Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll add a bass part to that, and then you'll hear two guitars. Now this is adding a bass to the part you just heard. Alright, that's nothing. Wait till we get going. Now that's three guitars.
So you start to get the idea of this loop. I just cued it forward so we can have a little look at Les's playing, and it's so good technique-wise. Obviously, his actions look a little bit weird because it's slightly sped up, but just have a little look at the technique and listen to the accuracy as well. But let's get into this and we'll have a little talk about it afterwards. And the amount of technique in there is absolutely crazy. The fact that when it was actually played live, it was ever so slightly slower than this. It wasn't that much slower. So playing at the speeds that Les does with the accuracy, and also the fact that the backing he's playing to is his looper. So it's not only amazing playing, amazing technical playing, but we're actually getting to see someone's invention being applied in front of a live audience. And it just makes the guitar so versatile. We all take it for granted nowadays, but Les is one of those guys, one of those trailblazers that just push forward and really push the technology at the time. He just articulates all the notes all the time with that synchronization between left and right hand, his alternate picking in there as well. So many techniques that are around nowadays that really back in the day when Les was introducing them, they weren't commonplace at all. He was really pushing the boundaries of technique and speed playing as well. One of those guys that really laid the foundation. And I've just cued it forward again just towards the end of the video, just so we can see a little bit more craziness from Les. Again, a little look at his technique and just the fact that this is so impressive, this playing.
Better watch it now. Turn your camera down.
And there we go, what a crazy end to the performance. And the other thing to note here is the fact that Les not only is playing his main line really clean, but he's also got the other lines on his looper pedal being played underneath, as you could hear, kind of harmonizing with that lead guitar. So in order to do that, your technical ability has got to be absolutely top notch. It's got to be top level because you have got to articulate each one of those notes all the time so that they're then perfectly in time. You'll find that sometimes when you start to speed up runs, it's not perfectly phrased. It wasn't phrased as it would be when it's played slowly. And the other thing, just the fact that Les Paul is so impressive with his playing here, but is also engaging the crowd. He's also putting on a show. So it's just the best of both worlds. But just the idea of recording something and then being able to record something over the top of that previous take was something totally new and something that Les Paul brought. He brought it into music. So what a great creative mind. And just getting your head around the time that Les was doing this. He was playing around the mid-40s and 50s and early 60s is when he finished his last album. So the fact that he's doing all this at that time and inventing these things at that time is so impressive. It's why he's an absolute legend. And you can certainly see the influence in Les's playing from Django Reinhardt, where I did a video on Django not so long ago where he just used 2 fingers to play really fast runs. And Les, obviously, he's got all 4 fingers, but you can see where he's taken a lot of that inspiration from. So Les really pushed forward with the techniques and taking that to the next level. I don't want this video to go on for too long, but Les being such a legend, you could do a video for about a year on this guy just because of what he brought to guitar techniques, what he also did for making the guitar so versatile, coming up with different inventions. So what a great mind Les had, and what an absolutely amazing player. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at in the first place. I'm going to put a link to this in the description below so you guys can check out the whole video without skipping through it as I've just done. It's definitely worth a watch the whole way through just to see that looper in action as well. But keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!